I went to the woods because I wanted to live deliberately. I wanted to live deep and suck out the marrow of life. We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. Rather, we read and write poetry because we're members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion. Science, engineering, technology, information. These are all the noble pursuits important to sustain life. But nature and poetry, my friends, these are what we're actually alive for. Hello, hello, hi. Welcome, dear lovely ladies, and some handsome boys too. Give me the pleasure to introduce my dear co-host for this mega festival, Miss Vartika Vyas, who is an absolute bundle of talent and beautiful vocals. She has been my favorite voice for years now. And just in case you're wondering why she is the one for us today, I'm sure you'll know in a bit.
Well, that's a lot about me, Manasvi. Thanks a tons. Well, the world is full of diamonds and gems, and we are having some of them here with us to build this event. A very hearty welcome to all the guests present here with us for celebrating the DhiMahi Nature Festival. Speaking of gems, I would like to introduce you all to my co host for this event, Miss Manasvi Devedi, who is an author and writer herself. The way she weaves emotions into words, poems, and stories, always fascinates me. And I feel so overwhelmed to be sharing a space with such an artistic person.
Thank you, Vartika. Let's now welcome and hear from Jatin Adlakha, the founder of the DhiMahi Outdoor School and the brains behind the DhiMahi Nature Festival. But before that, please allow us to introduce him a little bit.
A computer science engineer turned outdoor enthusiast, he is an outdoor educator, a positive psychology professional, leadership and well being coach. In his words, he basically helps people differentiate between a life lived and a life lived well.
We request him to share his opening remarks and declare open the maiden edition of the DhiMahi Nature Festival.
Thank you, Manasvi and Vartika. Dear audience, what an interesting turn of events that have landed me here in front of you today. There I was just last year, 2020, facilitating outdoor based learning programs for corporates and schools, freelancing with other companies. Then there I was stuck at home when the pandemic hit and the outdoors got shut and I ran out of work. Then there I was questioning my whole being. Then there I was actively reaching out, looking for mentors. Then there I was hard at work, studying, reading, reflecting, planning. Then there I was earlier this year, along with my nature mentor, Keku, releasing our nature mentorship program, Seed. And now here I am in front of you as the founder of DhiMahi Outdoor School, about to open an event which has been my want for quite some time now. But before that, what is with me and nature? Nature and outdoors have had a huge impact on me. So much so that after having completed my engineering in computer science from BITS Pilani, Hyderabad, I quit my corporate job in 2017 without a plan, with just a wish to make my career in the field of outdoors. Why, you ask? Let me tell you a story. The year is 2017. It's the third week of January. News of fresh snowfall have arrived from the mountains. Naturally, I plan a trip to Himachal without any plans. I have a route in mind, and the idea is to get as far as I can go, because apparently everything above 2000 meters is whitewashed. My jeep can only go as far as Jana, a small village in Himachal around 1850 meters in altitude, about 55 kilometers from Kulu. whole village is blanketed in snow. And as I gather, the village has no lodges. A few conversations later, the former sarpanch of the village has agreed to host me. And there I am in the night, being tucked into my bed with 3 blankets on me by this former sarpanch. And the next morning, my door is knocked by a person, by a friend who I had made just last evening when I arrived. So, this is how my rest 4 or 5 days in the village go. My mornings start with this new found friend who takes me around the village, trekking at times to this ancient temple which is of a religious importance, to the local trout farm, learning about the details of different trees and nature, learning about the importance of the only stream, Nala, in the village. That happens in the morning and in the afternoon, and in the night I'm reciting the same tales, experiences, and adventures to this former sarpanch, my host, who then tucks me into the bed. This vastness of the landscapes, along with the details of nature, along with the warmth of people, along with the excitement in the journey itself, occurs to me over and over again as I keep traveling. And then, stuck at home in the lockdowns, I started learning more about nature from Keku online, and different elements that I'm getting exposed to, I'm going out around me to observe, and my own neighborhood started to come alive for me. So then, bringing my inclination towards education and my love for nature and outdoors, choosing outdoors as the medium for education came quite naturally to me. And then, amazed by the impact this learnings with Keku that had on me, we both decided to offer this learning experience to more people. And we launched our nature mentorship program, SEED, course in exploring ecological design. Around the same time, I had decided to launch a formal entity in the focus exclusively on outdoor education. A few months later, DhiMahi Outdoor School was born. I get asked a lot of times, what do you do at DhiMahi Outdoor School? And the answer is quite simple, the one that you can guess if I ask you to. It's to rebridge that connection that we shared with nature. Imagine a species which grew up for 70,000 years in and around nature, and then in the last 50 or so years, we surround them with 4 walls, cover the sky through the roof, and provide a small window in one of the walls, provide these devices in front of their hands, in their hands, which in front of which they spend most of their days. And then we question why we have so many emotional and psychological challenges. Dr. Kinley, of forest medicine Japan, says about this as cutting the umbilical cord that we shared with Mother Nature. So, to bridge that gap that we have created between ourselves and nature, besides that, there are 2 myths that we intend to break through the school. First is that we think nature is restricted to mountains and jungles and rivers and beaches and all the other vast landscapes. But that's not the case. We are in we are a part of ecology, surrounded by nature no matter where we are. But we don't have that understanding of relating to urban ecosystems. As a matter of fact, even when we step outdoors and go to these vast landscapes, it's usually about us and our selfies. So that's one. And the second is that to understand nature and environment and to get close to it, you have to become an activist, an environmentalist, a botanist, a zoologist, an ecologist, a geologist, or a naturalist. But that's not the case either. We could be pursuing whatever careers we want to with having an inclination towards nature. And that can happen just by understanding different life forms that are there around us and understanding how we are placed in relationship with them. Coming to DhiMahi Nature Festival. So it has been my want, as I said, for quite some time to be able to provide a platform for conversations around nature. We wanted to bring people from the scientific community and understand what their findings are and communicate them to people in layman terms. At the same time, engage adults and kids in various segments and aspects related to nature. So, like I said in the introductory video, I had this idea, I shared it with Keku, he loved it, shared it with our seed students, they loved it, and we decided to take this forward. And then more people joined, and then some more people joined. And together, here we are today in front of you, about to share all of this labor of work that we have been putting in. The intent behind the DhiMahi Nature Festival has been the same that I had an experience in Jana and then over and over again in all of my travels. To be able to appreciate the vast landscapes, to be able to get into the details in nature, to be able to appreciate the warmth that people have, and to be able to experience that excitement in the journey itself. Without taking any more of your time, I will now proceed to open what you are here for, to proceed to the opening ceremony. Please allow me to remember my mother and my gurus, Keku, Dr. Sandeep, and Dhyanat, as I go ahead to light the ceremonious diya. Ladies and gentlemen, I now declare the maiden edition of DhiMahi Nature Festival open. Manasvi and Vartika, over to you.
It was so inspiring to hear from Jatin about the initiative and also so heartwarming to see him remember his mom and his gurus before lighting the diya. Alright, now that the festival is open, let's get right into the festival.
Yes, how about a musical piece to begin with? The bamboo flute is known to be one of the oldest musical instruments known, and the sound of the Indian bansuri magically transports us to nature, in the mountains, by a river, in the woods maybe. Let's start with one such beautiful musical piece.
Himanshu Kanekar is an Indian classical florist born in Maharashtra, Aurangabad, and brought up in Delhi. He started learning flute under the guidance of Prasanna's family of artists of Hindustani classical music from Banaras Gharana that plays Basuri, Indian flute, and Shehnai in Delhi. Later moved to Mumbai to continue training at Hari Prasad Chaurasia's Vrindavan Gurukul and Maharashtrian folk arts from Mumbai University simultaneously.
Himanshu has been a session player for various private, corporate, and academic shows in genres like folk, fusion, classical, Indian film music, western, and so on, and is also the co-founder of the Delhi-based folk fusion band Ipteda.
Currently, Himanshu is a senior disciple of Sri Ashwin Srinivasan, Indian classical flautist, film composer, music arranger, and producer, specializing in Gayaki and technique of flute playing and learning from vast variety of his other talents.
Leaving the corporate life of a telecom engineer back in 2016, he is now in pursuit of exploring the realm of music and sounds with spirituality and flute as his medium. Hmm. Not sure how can I describe this the best, but I think magical would be a short word and phenomenal wouldn't fit in. So I think I will be resting my case in the hands of our dear audience. Thank you, Himanshu, for such a lovely experience.
Agree. How soulful. And this is just the beginning. Let's get into the next segment, nature presentations. A segment where kids share their presentations and views on topics close to them. Let's introduce Vandana, the host of our next segment. Vandana Gurnani comes from Kutch, Gujarat.
She is a software engineer by profession. However, literature is something that has always fascinated her. She is a voracious reader. She says her happy place would be a book in a cafe with a hot cup of tea. She aspires to be a teacher one day and give back to the world through that medium. Over to you, Vandana.
Hi, all. A very good morning. I hope you all have had a good breakfast. Thank you so much for that introduction, Manasvi and Vartika. I am indeed the moderator for today, a hat I don't get to wear from Monday to Fridays. The segment is DhiMahi Nature Presentation, a segment under DhiMahi Nature Festival, an initiative by DhiMahi Outdoor School. I welcome you all to this segment. And without further ado, let's get right into the segment and see what it has to offer. I would like to start the segment by introducing DhiMahi Outdoor School. D means visionary insight, intense thought and reflection. Mahi, it means has been found in the Rig Veda, where it represents earth, soil, water, and ground. In Manu Simriti, it means earth or the great world. Also, Dhimahi appears in the Gayatri Mantra, where it means wisdom. An interpretation of Dhimahi for us comes to be deeply connecting with the natural world. Take a breath, pause, reflect, and see what pious this word is. The key of this beautiful initiative is outdoor education. I would like to begin by doing a small poem by William Henry Davies. This was my favorite poem in the 8th standard in the English book. I'm not sure if you guys still have it in your literature, but hear it, how it goes. What is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare, no time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep or cows, no time to see when woods we pass, where squirrels hide their nuts in grass, no time to see in broad daylight streams full of stars like skies at night, no time to turn at beauty's glance and watch her feet how they can dance. No time to wait till her mouth can enrich that smile her eyes began. A poor life this is, if full of care. We have no time to stand and stare. The lockdown that we all have managed to come out of has helped us to pause our life and appreciate the surroundings more than ever. This is an initiative to take the time out and celebrate nature. As we grow, often our curiosity fades out. The biases take charge. We have these layers that mount our deepest feelings. I think kids are the purest forms of feelings there are. What better to get a sneak peek into nature through the eyes of the kids? Generally, there is a myth that PPTs are associated with corporate jobs. I myself, in a 9 to 5 job, know what are the biases that we hold around PPTs. Here, we are coming together to break this myths through nature presentations and through online learning. Because when you have open ears, an open mind, and the curiosity, the medium doesn't matter. It's all about having those deep conversations and establishing that connect with the nature. Okay, so today we have a special guest with us. His name is Rohan Chakravarti. He's a teacher. And before I go on and give the stage to Rohan, I would like to introduce him with a brief intro. He considers himself to be a student of nature, a person who thinks that being aware of the smallest facets of nature can lead to big discoveries. He's had the honor of learning biology at IISER Bhopal, where he got a master's degree in biological sciences. He has actively pursued debating and conferences throughout his college years. He solemnly believes that discussion and discourse can lead to greatest momentum for nature enthusiasts in a world filled with concrete and cement. Thank you, Rohan, for that wonderful bio. So how are you feeling today?
So I'm very excited. I'm very excited about this entire event. I feel that it's very humbling to actually know what young minds think about nature in this day and age. I'm very happy to be here.
That's great. And I think through the vision of kids, a peek into the nature is unmatchable because their curious minds have a story to weave which none of us can think of.
Definitely. Listening to what students or younger generations have for nature is actually also talking about the future. And therefore, we can interrelate nature with sustainability in these discourses. So this is really amazing.
Definitely. So Rohan, what is it like to be a teacher?
So it is very interesting. Rather than I teaching the students, I get to learn a lot. So rather than me imparting information to other people, it's more on getting to know how we understand things and what makes our environment interesting to us. So rather than me being a teacher, I'm like being a student all over again. So it's very interesting for me.
Yeah. I think teacher is one of the most humbling profession there is. It has the fulfillment and also it allows you to be a student lifelong, which we try to enforce in every one of us because we have to be a student lifelong.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Yes.
And which subject do you teach, Rohan?
Basically, I take up biology for competitive exams, and I like to impart a little philosophical aspect to the biology. There is not just rote learning, but also to make interrelations so that we are more aware of our surroundings, because biology is always around us, science is always around us. So rather than just going over the books, it's like to get a deeper connection with what you are, how you are right now. It's more important to learn what the books are trying to tell us rather than just learn it for the exams. So this is something that I practice in my classes.
Yeah. What is the best part about being a biology teacher?
So the best part is drawing the diagrams. It's very, very amazing yeah.
So you're an artist as well.
Yeah, sure.
That's good to know. That's good to know. So for our audience, why don't you tell something about your hobbies? And like I have already introduced you, you can say where are you connecting from? And, it'll be a pleasure to know you a bit more.
Yeah, I'm here from Mohali. It's a very rough weather here. The winter is setting in right now in Mohali in the northern part of India. So basically, as you might already know that I'm a teacher, but apart from when I'm not teaching, you'll always find me close to a table tennis table. And I really think that playing some sport or engaging oneself in some extracurricular activity always helps in channelizing all those pent up energies that a person has. It helps you grow. And I also like reading and traveling both. And for the nature part, I am really, really interested in animal behavior and how animals are actually set up in their local environment. So may it be an urban area or a jungle, I feel that the complexity that animal behavior has can be like made aware of in any kind of setup. So this is,
Yeah.
yeah.
So before going on with further introduction, I would like to ask everybody that what do they think? How do the animals communicate with each other? Does anybody want to take a guess? Harshita, are you saying something?
Yes, by their language.
I can't hear you. Come again.
By their language.
By their language. So how is their language? Because they can't speak.
Like,
Okay. So why doesn't the dog tell you? How does he tell you that he needs food or he is wanting to pee? How does he tell you that? There are signs, right?
yeah.
Yeah. We'll learn more about it. And I'm sure Rohan is here with us. He can also give us some insights about how dogs communicate and how other animals communicate.
Yeah, definitely. So animals basically make use of non-verbal communication, usually because their language is not that developed as human beings, but they still show a lot of non-verbal communication. And for example, bees have particular dances which they actually tell the entire colony where they can find the next set of
Oh,
flowers where they can eat. So they dance and communicate. So this is really amazing. Yeah.
that is interesting. Thanks, Rohan. So now let's go to the stars for today. We have Ishi from Delhi, Tamanna from Delhi, Harshita from Gurugram, and Vanshika from Kanpur. Hi, everyone. Okay, so who here likes to travel? Okay, everyone. Okay, let's go to Harshita first. Where did you travel last? What was your last travel destination? Harshita, you're on
Yes.
mute. Yeah, where did you travel last? Where did you go to?
Last I had go to Shimla.
Shimla. That is really nice. Was it cold there?
Yes.
What did you like the best part about Shimla, about your trip?
Horse riding.
Horse riding. That's lovely. You like horses?
Yes.
You know, the last time I went to the mountains and I was collecting horseshoes, and I managed to find 10 horseshoes, and I came back with those. Do you know that horseshoes are good luck?
No.
Yeah, you can collect them the next time you go. That's great. Thank you, Harshita. Okay, now let's go to Vanshika. Hi, Vanshika. Where did you travel last?
Gone to my nanny's house in Gandhinagar.
Oh, wow. How was it in Gandhinagar?
I love the place. I used to travel a lot. I used to go, I traveled a lot of places there. It was also amazing to meet all of my family members again.
I know after the lockdown, it must have been pretty at home. So it was a good getaway. That's really nice. Hey, Tamanna, let's hear it from you. What is your favorite travel destination?
Masuri.
Wow. Why do you like Missouri?
My last trip was Masuri, and I love activities that I've done there.
What activities have you done there?
Like rock climbing and like that.
Wow, rock climbing. You should come to Pune sometimes. I work in Pune. You should come there. We have a lot of mountains in and around Pune. So we can go rock climbing, trekking. We can do a lot of stuff. And it's very beautiful during the rainy season. Yeah, you'll plan a trip, Tamanna?
Yes, ma'am.
That's great. That's really nice. Tamanna, can you do me a favor? Can you put your screen towards yourself so that I can see you a bit more, just like how you did it before? Yeah, that's much better. Okay, so I can't see Ishi here. Let me just admit her. Okay, Ishi is back on. So, Ishi, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, so which is the last place that you traveled and what was the most interesting thing about that place?
We traveled to Jim Corbett.
Wow, how was it?
We see many animals like peacock, panda.
Is it?
We saw peacock dancing.
Oh, wow, was it rainy there?
No, it was not rainy. The peacock was just dancing. I don't know why.
That's really nice. Did you see the waterfall there? When I went to Jim Corbett, there was this huge waterfall.
No, I just
No?
I just see animals.
That's really nice. So, what is the best thing you liked about Jim Corbett?
I like the peacock dancing.
That's really nice, Ishi. So, are you ready to go first with the presentation?
Your wish.
My wish. You tell me, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. So, what are you going to be presenting for us today?
I'll be presenting a presentation on mountains.
That is interesting. And what mountain are you going to talk about?
No specific mountain, just mountain.
No specific, just mountains?
Yes.
Okay. So, let's get into your presentation and see what you have to talk about.
Okay.
So, before we get there, let me first introduce Ishi. Ishi Agrawal is connecting from Delhi. She studies in Summerfield School. She's in grade 6 and she has chosen this because she likes mountains. And I would like to ask her, what is the best part about the mountains?
The best part of the mountains is that they are found in cold regions and they have snow on it. They are covered with snow.
Oh, you like the snow bit of it?
Yes.
Even I like snow. So what is the best part about the snow? Do you like the snowman? Have you made one?
Yes, I made a snowman, small snowman.
Is it?
Yes.
Why don't you catch up with me after this session and show me your snowman?
Okay.
Okay, do you have a picture of it?
I don't know. I'll ask.
Okay, okay, great issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and you have to guide me as and when you present, okay? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I start?
Wait a moment. Yes, please start now.
Mountains. Next slide, please. What is a mountain? A mountain is an elevated portion of the Earth's crust, generally with steep sides that show significant exposed bedrock. A mountain differs from a plateau in having a limited summit area and is larger than a hill, typically rising at least 300 meters, 1000 feet above the surrounding land. Next slide, please. Mountain ranges. A mountain range or hill range is a series of mountains or hills ranged in a line and connected by high ground. The most famous and the highest mountain range of India is the Himalayan range. It is also the youngest and the longest mountain range in India and has almost every largest peak of the world. The Himalayan mountain range bisects India from the rest of Asia and is primary source of mighty rivers in India. Next slide, please. The Himalayas. The Himalayas or Himalaya are a mountain range in Asia, separating the plains of the Indian subcontinent from the Tibetan plateau. The range has some of the planet's highest peaks, including the highest, Mount Everest. Over 100 peaks exceeding 7,200 meters in elevation lie in the Himalayas. Next slide, please. The Mount Everest. Mount Everest is Earth's highest mountain above sea level, located in the Malagar Himal sub-range of the Himalayas. The China-Nepal border runs across its summit point. Its elevation of 8,848.86 meters was most recently established in 2020 by the Nepali and Chinese authorities. Next slide, please. Few beautiful mountains in the world. Vinikanka in Peru, Kikijufell in Iceland, Three Sisters in Australia, the Andes in Bolivian Altiplano, Zangir Landform Geological Park in China, Amon Dablam in Nepal, Vinifjorden in Norway, Mung Kanchai in Vietnam. Next slide, please. Thank you for watching and listening my presentation. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Ishi. Let me just close the slide share. Okay, Ishi, how did you find giving this presentation? Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I really enjoyed making the presentation. I learned very much about mountains through this presentation.
It was a lovely presentation, Ishi. And what I liked
Thank
about
you.
your presentation is that how you escalated. First, you talked about mountains and how they differ from plateau and hills. And then you went on to Himalayas. And then you spoke about the mighty Mount Everest. And you
Yes.
also told us about few important peaks. So that was really good how you put the whole thing together. Now let's hear it from others. What do they have to say? Does anybody have a question for Ishi?
Hi, I have a question for Ishi.
Yes.
Ishi, can you tell me that in these snow mountains that you just saw, that you just the photos that you showed us, uh, can you tell me, is there any kind of animal life existing there? Do you know, like any kind of animal life that would be there, or any kind of plant life that might be there? If you know, like, it's completely up to you.
Mm. Pine and fir tree grows on mountains. Basically, they are cone-shaped and have sharp needle-like leaves. And the animals like mountain goat and polar bear stays. They have a thick fur on their body to protect themselves from cold, and they have a thick layer of fat inside their body for maintaining their body temperature.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for your answer. Amazing.
Thank you, Ishi. That's so true. And even the dogs that are there in the mountains, they're really furry and they do come along and they can trek like really well, like faster than even us.
Thank you. Welcome.
Okay, thank you, Ishi. So, Rohan, what would you like to say about a presentation?
I thought it was very informative, and I really got to know a few more things than what I knew previously. And I'm very thankful for Ishi to tell me all those things. So it was a very good presentation. I think it was very crisp. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, what is the best part about being in the mountains? For me, it is Maggie. And I know Ishi likes the snow. How about others? Are they beach person or a mountain person? Vanshika, are you a beach person or a mountain person?
I'm a beach person.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Did you know that there was the survey which said that the most people had mountain as their favorite holiday destination?
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. And Tamanna, what do you like, mountains or beaches? I can't hear you.
I'm beach.
Oh, even you are a beach person. And how about Harshita?
Now I also like beaches.
Okay, so no contenders for mountains here. Rohan, how about you?
I definitely prefer going to the mountains.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Honestly, even I'm a beach person because
Oh no.
mountains can be intimidating sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was the last mountain trek? Did you do any?
So last time I visited Sikkim and I got the chance to actually go up to Yuksom. Yuksom is the base camp for Kanchenjunga. So
Oh,
yes, I had the chance of going there, but because of COVID restrictions, I wasn't able to make the trek completely. But I was there in Sikkim and I got a chance to look at Kanchenjunga from Gangtok itself. So it was very beautiful.
that's really nice. Thank you. Okay, so who wants to go next? Or should I pick? Tamanna, you want to go next? Okay, perfect. So here is a bit about Tamanna. Tamanna Kukreja is connecting with us from Delhi. She studies in the Summerfield School. She's in grade 6. And she says that she loves to travel and play badminton. And her topic for today will be dogs. And I think all of us here love dogs. And she says that she wants to have them as her pet. So, Tamanna, tell me, if you have dog as a pet, what would you name it? You're on mute. I can't hear you.
I'm Bella.
Oh,
Ma'am
did
Bella.
you know? Did you know that Bella is the most common name for dogs that there is?
No, ma'am.
So you need you want to have a female dog, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So are you ready for your presentation then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let me just put up your presentation and share the screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. Can I start?
Yes, please start.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Tamanna Kukreja. For today's topic, for today's topic, for today's topic for Nature's Festival is dogs. Ma'am, can you
Okay.
please show the next slide?
Yeah.
Dog is my favorite animal, and I want to keep one as my pet. It is one of the best pet animal one can keep because he is very loyal, helps in reducing stress, and it provides a great companionship. Dogs have many breeds like Pomeranian, Chihuahua, Bulldog, German Shepherd, Chow Chow, Labradoodle, etc. Can you show the next slide?
Yeah.
So moving on to the first breed is Golden Retriever. Golden Retriever are very good family dogs because they are extremely sweet and gentle. They are natural athletes and do well in dog sports. Now let me tell you a fun fact about Golden Retriever. They are known for their soft mouth, and you might know, but they can carry a raw egg in their mouth without cracking the shell. Ma'am, can you please
Okay.
show the next slide? So moving on to the next is Shih Tzu. So let me start by explaining what exactly does Shih Tzu means. The word Shih Tzu means little lion. The dogs of this breed are friendly and lively. Shih Tzu tend to get along well with people of all ages and with other dogs as well as other pets of different species. Ma'am, can you show the next slide? So moving on to the next is pugs. Pugs are known to be great family dogs and are very playful and affectionate with children. The pug's commercial face with dark, deep wrinkles around big dark eyes and a flat round face can't help but make you smile. Pugs love to be the center of attention and are heartsick if ignored. Pugs are very famous after the Vodafone ad and popularly called as Vodafone dogs. Ma'am, can you show the next slide? So moving on to the next is Labradoodle. This breed of dog is very easy to train. Labradoodle is known for their intelligence, affection, and calm temperament. These dogs are available in many different colors. Did you know Labradoodle are water babies? It means that they love to swim in water. Ma'am, can you show the next slide? So moving on to the next is Pit Bull. Pit bulls are not inherently dangerous. They become violent due to lack of training, abuse, and neglect. This breed of dogs are very loyal. Pit bulls love to cuddle. They crave for hugs. Ma'am, can you show the next slide?
Yeah.
So moving on to the next is Fariha. You might not have heard the name of this breed, but I can guarantee that you have seen them. So, this is the main breed of street dogs found in India. I could not miss street dogs from my presentation as they are the ones who protect us from strangers entering into our locality. Ma'am, can you show the next slide? Lastly, I would just like to say God has created Mother Nature very beautifully. Please do not destroy that. We should respect all creatures, living or non living, on this planet. Dogs are very essential part of this ecosystem to take care of them, and it doesn't matter if it is a pet or a street dog. Most importantly, please feed the street dogs. They are often left neglected. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tamanna, for that wonderful message. What I really loved about your presentation, it is so colorful. And let me just now stop sharing and put you on the spotlight. That was a really good presentation, Tamanna.
Okay, ma'am.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Which is your favorite dog breed?
Ma'am, golden retriever and
Oh, I
Shih
know.
Tzu.
And Shih Tzu? Shih Tzu are lovely, aren't they?
Yes.
Okay, what do others have to say? What are their favorite breed of dogs? Vanshika, which is your favorite breed?
I love golden retrievers.
Is it?
Yeah.
And how did you find Tamanna's presentation?
I actually loved it. It is better than mine, I must say. I loved it. It was so colorful and there were so many pictures. It was amazing.
Yeah, even I thought it was very colorful. So if you have a pet dog, what would you name it?
I've not actually thought about it. My mom won't allow one, so I never think about it.
You should start thinking about it. You should at least have some name and start convincing your mom. So probably by the time she gets convinced, you have a name for the dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to Ishi now. Ishi, what would be the name of your pet dog?
I think I would probably name it as Johnny.
Oh, wow, that's a really nice name. And which dog would you like to pet? Of all the ones that Tamanna showed, is there any choice, any
I
preference?
would like to pet that water baby.
What a baby! I know, they're so much fun when you play with them, aren't they? How about Harshita? Harshita, how did you find Tamanna's presentation?
Presentation has many pictures and it is very colorful.
Yeah,
And it has a lot of knowledge.
a lot of knowledge. Yeah, and you have a dog.
No,
Would you like to pet one?
yeah,
What would you name it?
Duffy.
Oh, that's a really cute name, Harshita. Thank you. Rohan, how about you? Are you a dog person or a cat person?
I'll just show you the answer rather than
Oh my God,
rather than
so lovely. Oh, we have a
So-
guest.
so-
Hello.
So this is Lobo. He's a beagle.
Oh, wow. So we have one more breed over here. You should tell us about him or her.
Yeah, he's a him. So he's a very, very naughty boy. So beagles are known to be very, very curious, and they're very naughty. He'll just monitor all our activities throughout the day, and he'll just find the most, like, the precious thing that we have, that we hold dear. He'll take it in his mouth and make us run for our lives the entire day. So he's very, very, like, very naughty.
That's adorable, don't you think?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And you know, the best part about dogs, what I find is that if you suppose have something, right? If you're eating something, even if they can't eat it, they'll run. Even if you just open the cupboard, they'll just run towards you and you have to show them, okay, I don't have anything in my hands anymore. And
Right.
that's when they will stop being around you. Until then, they won't be convinced that there isn't anything worth offering to them.
Yeah.
So that's really nice. That's really nice. So how did you find the presentation?
Actually, the presentation was very, very good because apart from mentioning so diverse breed, she also added a very specific snippet. And the way she mentioned the street dog, the breed pariah, that was really, really beautiful, because whenever we talk about dogs, we usually talk about breeds which come from outside India. Nobody ever wonders about the street dogs. So this is a very beautiful message. I was like very happy to see her presentation. It was amazing. It was really,
Yeah. And the message itself was
it
really
was
powerful.
very,
and good.
very, yes, good, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tamanna. I hope you had a good time. So now let's go to Harshita. So Harshita, what are you going to present for us today?
Now I'm gonna present lotus flower.
Lotus. That's such a beautiful plant. That's such a beautiful flower. What is your favorite flower, Harshita?
My favorite flower is lotus and pansy.
Oh, that's really nice. So are you ready to do the presentation for us today?
Yes.
Okay. So let me introduce Harshita. Harshita Nunyal is connecting from Gurugram. She studies in RIMT World School and she's in grade 4. She says that she likes to dance, art, and craft, and she likes reading moral stories. And she says she does yoga and cycling every day. Those are interesting hobbies, Harshita. The topic that she has chosen today is No Mud, No Lotus. What a nice topic that you have chosen, and the title. I really like it, Harshita. And she says that she has chosen this topic because she loves flowers and greenery. Without flowers, nature is colorless. That's so true. So Harshita, I'll now share my screen and then it'll be over to you to give your presentation. Okay? Okay, perfect. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Can I start?
Yeah.
No mud, no lotus. I love lotus flower because it is our national flower and it is so beautiful. Ma'am, can you? The lotus flower blossom most beautifully from the deepest and thickest mud. Can you show the next slide? Looking, it is one of the 8 auspicious signs of Buddhism, represent purity of body and harmony. Can you share the next slide? Look, God Lakshmi holds lotus in her hand, and lotus glow from Navi of Lord Vishnu, which represent beginning of this cosmic creation. Goddess or God Lakshmi sits on the lotus. It represents fertility and good fortune. Next slide, please.
Yeah.
The lotus flower is beneficial for aquatic ecosystem. It keeps the water cool, helps protecting the fish from direct sunlight, suppress a large growth, increase oxygen content up to 20%. Can you show the next slide? Lotus flower never gets wet. Do you know it? Its leaves is thin and white, so it reduces the pressure underwater. It always floats. Lotus flower
has leaves with a waxy coating surface so the dripping water will not make it wet and only form water droplets. Ma'am, can you show the next slide? It has amazing health benefits. Lotus seeds used in medicines, used as dry powder in bread dough, helps in treatment of poor digestion. Ma'am, can you share the next? It has amazing benefits. Lotus roots take care of brain, strengthens body immunity, keep heart healthy, and taste awesome in sambar.
Oh, wow.
Can you share the next one? Just like the lotus, we too have the ability to rise from the mud, bloom out of the darkness, and radiate into the world.
Wow.
Can you share the next slide? Thank you.
Wow. That was indeed a beautiful presentation, Harshita, and such a powerful message. And I loved your slides. They were very colorful, and the whole significance of it in terms of the medicinal aspect or in terms of this spirituality, all of that, I really loved what you did.
Um,
I think Ishi has raised her hand. Do you want to ask a question, Ishi?
I want to say something.
Please do. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am, I want to share that ma'am, lotus is a partially submerged plant.
Ooh, that is so good. Okay, so yeah, go on.
what Ishi said?
Ishi, can you repeat it for her?
Ma'am, lotus is a partially submerged plant.
Partially submerged plant. So, Ishi, how did you find Harshita's presentation?
I found it very good. I learned about the benefits and uses of lotus seeds and what is its significance in Hinduism and Buddhism.
Yeah, I agree. It was a good learning presentation. How about Vanshika? How did you find Harshita's presentation?
It was beautiful. I loved the slides. They were so colorful. I just loved it. It was so beautiful.
Yeah. Tamanna, do we have Tamanna on? Okay, I think Tamanna is not sure. Rohan, let's go and talk to you. What did you think of Harshita's presentation?
So her presentation was not just about facts, but it was like to do with my personal life, to everybody's life. And it is something that it is not just about factual knowledge, but it is going to stay with me for later on as well. Because the quote that she started with and the quote that she ended with, they were like quotable quotes. So I can really find a light on darker days when I think about a lotus now. So it's really, really beautiful. She's given me a very beautiful message.
I agree. And you know, as they say that instead of cursing the darkness, you should light a candle. I think this aptly summarizes her message.
Yes.
Yeah, so very good presentation there, Harshita. Now, I have a question for all of you. If you had to ask one wild animal any question, what animal would that be? And what will be your question?
So I could start. I could ask a giraffe, what's up?
That's a good one. That is nice. Okay. How about you, Harshita? What are you going to ask and which animal? Do you want to ask about something?
I would ask from rabbit that how are you?
How are you? Oh, wow. I love rabbits. They're really cute, aren't they?
Yeah, they are very cute.
That's nice. And how about you, Ishi? What are you going to ask?
Can you repeat what are you asking? I didn't get you.
I'm asking that if you had a chance to ask one wild animal a question, which animal would that be and what would you ask?
I will be asking from uh, an aunt that what is your age?
That's really nice. And you can also ask, what is it like to be tiny and powerful?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Vanshika, you tell me, your turn.
Like, I don't have anything coming up to my mind. So I
Yes. Any? Maybe cats or dogs? What do you think? What are you going to ask
asked
them?
dogs, why are you so cute?
I know. They're just adorable. I think dogs, like they say, they have a way of connecting with humans. And I haven't found anybody who has told me that they don't like dogs. I
Yeah,
haven't seen
same.
anyone.
Yes.
So, yes, Harshita, you're raising your hand.
Ma'am, in my friends, my one friend is scared of dogs.
Is it?
Yeah,
So why don't you do one thing? You should then ask her to get friendlier with dogs, and when you touch them, they don't bite you. They're nice.
yeah,
So
she knows, but she's little bit of scared. And when she was small, she would play with dogs a lot.
is it?
Yeah,
But I think as she grows up, she'll start liking them because the dogs are really good friends. Okay, so do you guys want to know what I would ask? So I would ask the Peppa Pig. Do you know which character is Peppa Pig? Yes? I would ask her, what is it like to be famous? Because they're really famous. And we have from Jatin, he says that he would ask an elephant, how do you tolerate such a big nose? Isn't that a great question? Okay, so that was an interesting bit. Now let's go to Vanshika. Vanshika, are you ready for your presentation?
Yes.
What are you going to be presenting for us today?
Presentation on migrating hummingbirds.
That's really nice. Okay, so let me just introduce you first. Vanshika Lalwani is connecting with us from Kanpur. She's in grade 10. She studies in Swaraj India Public School. Her hobbies are drawing and painting, and she says she loves to travel. And today she will be giving a presentation on migrating birds. And the reason she's chosen this topic is because of her love towards animals. That's such a profound thought. And with that, let me just share my screen and then over to Vanshika. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
There you go. Please start.
Good morning, everyone. Today, on the occasion of the Nature Festival, I would like to present before you my presentation on migrating hummingbirds. Next slide, please. Hummingbirds are birds native to the Americas and comprise the biological family Trochilidae. With about 360 species, they occur from Alaska to Tierra del Fuego, but the vast majority of the species are found in the tropics. They are small birds, with most species measuring 7.5 to 13 centimeter in length. The smallest extant hummingbird species is the 5 centimeter bee hummingbird, which weighs less than 2 grams. Like other birds, hummingbirds migrate south in search of flowers, insects, and other food sources. Many make this journey during the late summer and fall, spurred not by hunger or falling temperature, but by decreasing daylight hours. The majority of North American hummingbirds fly to Mexico or Central America for the winters to breed. Next slide, please. The ruby-throated hummingbirds. They are by far the most common hummingbirds seen east of the Mississippi River in North America. They are found in a variety of woodland and bushy habitats, also in frequent gardens where flowering plants are plentiful. The average lifespan of ruby-throated hummingbirds is 3 to 4 years. These birds weigh less than a penny, but it can make the 500-mile journey across the Gulf of Mexico in less than a day. Next slide, please. The migration of the ruby-throated hummingbirds. During the cold winter months, these hummingbirds spend their time in Central America and southern Mexico. They typically begin their northern migration in late February to early March. By late March, they reach the southern tips of May Gulf Coast states such as Texas and Louisiana. They usually start their fall migration in late August and September. From here, they retrace their previous northern routes and make the exhausting journey back down to the Central America. Next slide, please. Fun facts about hummingbirds. No other bird can fly like hummingbirds. They can fly forward, backward, and even upside down. They are the only vertebrate capable of hovering for a period of time during flights. The average weight of a hummingbird is less than a nickel, which is around 4 grams. They are the smallest migrating birds. The name hummingbird comes from the humming noise their wings make as they beat so fast. Also, they don't migrate in flocks like other species. Next slide, please. The hummingbird family is very large, with over 330 species and 115 genera. The most common amongst them are as follows: Allen's hummingbird, Rufus hummingbird, Anna's hummingbird, Costa's hummingbird, broad-billed hummingbird, and violet-crowned hummingbird. Next slide, please. Thank you everyone for watching my presentation. Hope you liked it.
Thank you, Vanshika. What I really liked about your presentation is that you covered so many aspects just about hummingbirds, apart from what were already there. This really helped even my knowledge, and I got to know so much. So, yeah, how did you like it? Did you enjoy giving the presentation?
Yes, I absolutely loved the presentation. Even the process was much better than the presentation.
Is it? As they say, the journey is more important than the destination.
Yeah, I learned a lot about hummingbirds.
So what is one peculiar thing you would say you really liked about hummingbirds?
Like, I find them very beautiful. They are so elegant and so beautiful. So I love that about them.
That's really nice. So how did Harshita find Vanshika's presentation? Did you like it, Harshita?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, what did you like?
It is very knowledgeable, and I know a lot about hummingbirds.
That's really nice. And before going to Rohan, I actually have a question for you, Rohan. Can you just brief a little bit about why do birds fly in flocks and where do the birds go at night?
Yes, yes. So basically what happens is that usually these migrations, the migrations which happen is taken place entirely depending upon the population. There are very less animals who actually make the trip alone, because there is no safety from predators or from environmental pressures if you're traveling alone. So but if you're like flocking together, what happens is that these birds, the migratory birds, usually come in flocks because it also helps them in flying. So one of the bird would be taking up the lead position, he would be navigating everything, and the
Okay.
other birds would just follow. So this actually saves energy for everybody, because they are doing a division of labor. So they are taking turns to rotate the leader. So this actually is less energetically costly for the organisms, and this also happens in wildebeests as well, in savanna in Africa. So, and this was the question. And sorry, could you repeat the other question as well? Now, where do birds go
Yeah.
at night? So, so what happens is that there are different kinds of birds. Some birds are actually waking up during the day. They are foraging during the day. They are adapted that way. But certain other birds like owls, they would actually come up at night, and they would actually hunt at night. So they've
Right.
just like partitioned it out in such a way they've their eyes work better at night, and the other
Right.
birds, they're so this is what I had to say about it. Yeah.
That's really nice. And with so many birds, there's never been a crash that you must have seen. Like airplanes, they can crash.
Yeah.
Does that happen with birds at any time?
Actually, when they grow older, they lose a sense of their orientation. What happens is that they lose a sense of their orientation. It has been proved scientifically that many birds actually use the magnetism of the earth to actually find their, like right now, if we have to take a journey from Chandigarh to Delhi, so you'll put on
Right.
Google Maps and you'll get there, right? But what do birds have? Birds don't have Google Maps, right? So how are they
Right.
reaching their
Exactly.
spot year after year consistently? So they
Right.
basically use the Earth's magnetic field to orient themselves. So there are certain cases in which birds, due to some diseases, they might crash, but usually on the whole, it doesn't happen so often.
Okay. And when they're growing up, do they face any issues, or they are born with these senses right from birth?
Actually, what happens is that most birds, what they do in the chick phase, they are feeding them constantly. And when they develop those feathers, those wing feathers, so
Right.
basically their mother just pushes them outside. And so they learn to fly on the way down. And that is how they learn to fly. But again, the role of the community happens here, that the entire community would actually help the newer younger
Wow.
birds to actually learn the migratory paths and everything. But it is also
Right.
inbuilt in them. Yeah, this is a very social, birds are very, very social. And like you had asked before, ki how do like animals communicate? Birds actually have many different voices, many different vocal cords that they have. In human beings, it is called the larynx, but in birds, it is known as the syrinx, syrinx. So they can
Okay.
produce many different sounds as warning calls, as mating
Right.
calls, and if they've found some food. It's very interesting
Wow.
to learn about birds. Yes.
So they have a specific sound when
Yes.
they are having a food call, is it?
Yes, 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 yes. It is the entire population, the entire community knows about that. And they will all move towards the sound and start looking for food. If there is a warning call, everybody would get on alert, high alert, and they'll start to look for a predator. So this is how they work.
This is so interesting. There
Yes.
is this whole entire world that's
Yes,
there
definitely.
living around us.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really nice. And like they say that it takes a village to raise a child. I think it aptly fits over
Yes,
here
yes,
that the
definitely.
entire community raises
Yes.
a small chick.
Entire
Right.
tribe would be actually participating in growing, because what happens is that up until reptiles, when we see organisms up till reptiles do not
Yeah.
have that much parental care. They are not
Right.
investing a lot in parental care, but from birds onwards, and as is seen in mammals. So all these organisms are focusing all their energies in imparting the knowledge that they've gained in their life. So they're teaching the young ones. Yes, it's very interesting.
Right. That's such a interesting bit that you've told me, and I'm so enlightened, and I'm so glad we are having this session, we are having this conversation. It's just it is helping me connect the dots, really. All that I have known so far, it is helping me connect the dots. So does anybody have a question for Rohan?
Actually, before going to asking me, I would like to ask one question from Vanshika, if it's all right.
Sure. Yeah.
So, Vanshika, you talked about the fact that hummingbirds are usually found in Mexico and in America. So, can you tell me a similar kind of a bird that is actually found in the Indian subcontinent? We know for a fact that in the Indian subcontinent, in India per se, there are no hummingbirds, right? We have not seen hummingbirds. But can you tell me a bird that is similar to a hummingbird, but that is found in India? Do you know about this by any chance? No pressure at all.
I'm not sure. I don't actually know that, but I can just take a wild guess.
Yeah.
Is it a kingfisher or something?
Yeah, you're quite close, and actually this is a very good intelligent guess, but there is this bird called the sunbird. The sunbird. So that is actually the ecological equivalent. In biological terms, it is called the ecological equivalent. It means that it is showing the same habit as a hummingbird, but they are completely different species. This one is found only in India, and this one is found only in America. So it was a very good presentation. Thank you for telling me all these kind of new things. It was very good. I was very impressed.
Thank you.
I totally agree. It was refreshing. That is the word that is coming to my mind. So anybody has any questions for Vanshika, Ishi, Harshita? Okay, so does anybody have a question for Rohan? No? So should I ask Rohan a question?
Definitely.
Okay, so Rohan, I just want to know, how would you summarize the whole experience of this segment, and how would you urge the kids to be connected with nature in their everyday life, in the small things that they do, and how they can inculcate it as a habit, because habit is something that will stay with them for years to come. So what are some good habits that you would want to share with them?
So as a summary of the entire segment that we had here, it was really interesting, because every person was unique in the way that they what they brought to the table. It was from moral culminations to factual information to imaginations. It was the potential was completely bombastic for me, because it had so much to offer, and getting this piece of information from such intelligent young kids is completely surprising, and it was amazing. So but I just feel कि whenever if anybody is asking me कि what should be the correct approach to go about nature or ecology or sustainability, it is very simple. It is very simple कि we usually have a very good knowledge about the things that we are doing, but we should not be afraid to get our hands dirty. We should be there. We should be in nature. We should not be afraid of it. Right now, we, in the security of our home, we are actually discussing about nature, but how wonderful would it have been if we are having this kind of a discussion in a nature setting? So things like this, like just to hands on to experience that, in the nature itself and to learn about things. Just it doesn't matter what kind of profession or what kind of thing that you will be doing in your later life. We can always be a researcher, we can always be a scientist. All you need is a keen set of eyes and just go into the wild and just start exploring. So just keep that curiosity on, that's all. Because these students, I truly feel that they are very bold, they are very courageous to actually come up and speak upon the things that they're passionate about. They already have the boldness. I just feel ki, they should start being more curious, more explorative in whatever they're doing. They're already very good, but I just feel that this could they could add this to their habit list.
Yeah, that is a very good message. And from my personal experience, I can tell you that even if one person in the house is curious, it just is a chain, it leads to curiosity of somebody else. So like initially, you must have had this experience that if you didn't have dogs before, your parents must be not so keen about dogs. But once the dog comes, it just, it makes everybody curious. They want to know everything about it. They want to learn more about how he talks, what he does. So I think that it's a chain reaction for me. So even if one person is curious and takes that step, the whole house gets educated, and everybody everybody, I think, is educated. That's what the message is.
Right, right.
Okay, fine. So now we are coming towards the end of this session. And before we go to the end, I would just like to tell you all about, yes, Harshita, you have something to say.
I want to ask something from Rohan sir.
Yes.
Go on. I have seen that the cat's eyes are green and they can see clearly in night. So how they can see clearly in the night?
So yes, I got your question. It's a very good question. So what happens is that the eyes that we have, so there are two types of cells in your eyes. So there are these things which can help you see the light. Okay? It's a very simple thing. Right now, there is the screen in front of me, and the screen is just projecting onto my eye, and I can see that properly. That is happening with you as well. But what happens is that in cats, in the cat family, the entire cat family, if you think about lions, if you think about leopards, tigers, snow leopards, or the common domestic cat as well, what they have in their eyes is a little different from what we have in our eyes. So they are more capable of seeing at night just because they have that thing. And the thing that you're talking about, their eyes being green, they have a specific kind of a membrane which humans do not have. So when they cover their eyes with that membrane, and whenever like you're putting a torch to their light to their eyes, so it will shine with a green color. So this is a very observant, this is very good. Actually, you've been observing nature very closely, Harshita. I can know from this question. This is very good question. Was I able to answer your question? Is it clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Harshita, for your question, and Rohan for that answer.
Yes, I want to share that many human beings have different eye color. Like some people have gray color, some people have brown color, and very less people have green color also.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so if there are no further questions, can we come to the end of the segment? I am truly sad that we are coming to an end because I had such a fabulous time today, honestly. The myths that presentations are boring, that did not settle in even for one moment. So yeah, I had a gala time, and thank you to our special guest, Rohan, for taking the time out and giving us all of the information It was very interactive, and Rohan was generous enough to share all the tidbits from his experience and education. Thank you to all our stars, Vanshika, Tamanna, Harshita, Ishi, for putting up such good presentations, for enlightening us, and being curious. I think that's the most important thing. Just stay this way, be curious, and look forward to seeing you again in all our future engagements.
How awesome and cute! Listening to those little ones share presentations. हम क्या करते थे यार जब हम छोटे थे?
Well, so true. जब हम छोटे बच्चे थे बड़ी शरारत करते थे. Well, Vartika, शरारत से मुझे याद आया. I want to check if I can riddle you on this. Will you give it a try?
Okay, let's go ahead.
Okay, so tell me, what did one volcano say to the other volcano?
Since when have volcanoes started conversing with each other?
Well, you can guess.
Okay, Manasvi, tell me the answer.
One volcano said to the other volcano that I lava you so much.
Okay, Manasvi, then I lava you so much as well.
How cute. Thank you. Okay, next one. Okay. So, I want to know that why do mushrooms are always invited to a party?
What is happening in the world? Mushrooms are going to parties, volcanoes are speaking to each other. In which world are you living, Manasvi?
Well, in a world full of poetry and nature.
Okay, Manasvi, I need the answers now.
But the guy, it's very obvious. He's a fun guy.
Oh. A fun guy. Okay, well. तुम्हें क्या लगता है सिर्फ तुम riddle कर सकती हो? Well, let me see if you can guess my riddles correct.
Go ahead.
Well, Manasvi.
Yeah.
I have a riddle for you. That is, how do trees get online?
Sorry? Trees
How
get
do
online?
Yeah, trees get online. How do they do it?
Well, this is something I've never thought of, and probably I will never ever.
Well, Manasvi, they log in.
Vartika, please, no.
Okay. I agree. It was a PJ. Okay, Manasvi, here's a knock joke for you.
Go
knock,
ahead.
Knock.
Who's there?
A tree.
Tree who?
Tremendous to see you again, Manasvi.
Well, it's cute, but yeah, but also nice.
Okay, I'll have to give you. Yours were the best, okay?
Thank you.
Let's move ahead with this thought.
All right, time for the last segment of this pre-lunch session on waste management. Continuing to marvel at the wonders these kids are up to, introducing the host of the next segment, Arohi Bhatt, a 9th grader who is passionate about various artistic expressions, a visual thinker fond of journaling and illustrating.
She is a huge bibliophile and a trainee Kathak dancer in her 6th year. She graduated winning the Fellow of the Fellowship Award from the Vilac Counter Speech Fellowship 2020. Take it over, Arohi.
Hello everyone, hope everyone is doing good. Welcome to another guest session of the DhiMahi Nature Festival. I'm Arohi and you'll have to tolerate me for a while, so I really hope you survive. Today, I have a really special guest with me, Kavya Sindhuja, who is an expert in waste management and sustainability. Hello.
Hi, Arohi. Thank you. So excited to be here.
Same here. I'll just quickly introduce you and your work to the audience, and then we'll start our conversation.
Sure. Thank you.
So Kavya, feeling complacent with her job and lifestyle, she applied for a fellowship in liberal arts in the year 2015. As a part of that course, she happened to visit a landfill, and that experience moved her, prompting to embark on a low waste living journey. Inspired by the positive impact of the journey on her physical as well as mental well-being, she recently started an initiative called the Earth Sitters to share her learnings through awareness sessions and workshops on earth conscious practices. She's also a newbie kitchen gardener exploring plant based diets. In a very shorter form, she does a load of interesting work. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you again.
Well, we all heard the wordy introduction of yours I just gave. It for sure gave us a rough insight into your work, but it would be pretty amazing, right, if I could hear about the fantabulous work you do by you itself. So could you tell us a little more about the work?
Yeah, so as you pointed out, so this Earth Sitters is a very recent initiative of mine. So the aim or focus is also to create awareness on Earth conscious practices. So the main focus is to translate, good intent of people into action. Nowadays, all through my journey, I realized that a lot of people are now aware and want to do something about the dismal conditions that we are living in with respect to climate change, etc. But often they do not know where to start, or they often take a step back thinking that it's a difficult journey, and it requires a lot of resources, etc. So just to help such people, I thought it was I mean, that was the trigger as to how this Earth Sitters came into being, right? So the main focus is just to translate intent to action. And how do we do that? Just through sessions and workshops. Also, the focus there is to enable participants or people who are interested who join these sessions with tools and guidance that is required for implementing these practices. Like you read a lot about you can do this, do that, but how do you begin and how do you sustain that is the main focus, right? And because I'm more interested in the action part and the practical implementation of these practices, there are these sessions have a lot of demos and activities through them. Currently, we are offering sessions in waste management itself, but in the future, I would like to extend that to growing, or your urban gardening, or how food can be your medicine, etc. So, but currently, the comprehensive sessions are being done in waste management. The duration can last. It's up to you. Like you can customize. If a group comes to me and asks for sessions, it can range anywhere between 2 hours to 8 hours, depending on how much you can involve and how much time you can give, right? And the frequency is also up to you. Like you can schedule a 2 hour session once in a week, or within a week you can finish all the sessions, or within a day. Like if you have a retreat or something, if you're going somewhere, you can invite us, and we can do the session for a whole day, right? So that is it. And we do both online and offline sessions. And it's still, the initiative is still evolving. This was never a planned initiative as such. Like in the last couple of years, I think I've had opportunities to work with groups and individuals, helping them to start waste management at their own level or small spaces. And I think last December I had this opportunity to hold a day-long session for a group of people. Like it was families together, so there were kids and elders, like people from different age groups. And I had this opportunity to conduct sessions on waste management, different aspects of it through the day. I think that was the trigger point where I thought, why not do this formally? Until then, informally, like if somebody was approaching, I was doing sessions, but I never thought of it in a structured, formal way. And that paved, to the beginning of this initiative of Earth Sitters. And my dream is to work with municipality in whatever capacity, in local municipalities, and implement waste management solutions in your town level, etc. So let's see. Like I'm open to see how it's going to emerge in the future. So that's about it.
I said it before, I'll say it again. You are a mind-blowing person, Kavya. Like so many stuff, and you're contributing to like the earth. Like you're starting small, but we don't realize that might be such a big part in the change the harm the earth is being. Okay, I forgot the word again. The change the earth is being reached in, like it is being harmed in every activity we do in our day. We don't realize, but we are slowly we are slowly bringing the earth to an end. But like if we start small and do something like small things, it can really help the earth in a better way. And the stuff we are doing, awareing people is the best one, because as much people know, more people will have the urge to join in and work with the cause. The work
Yeah,
you do is
you said
chef's
it all.
kiss.
So I think it's just beginning somewhere is the key.
Mhm.
You know,
Exactly.
the size of the act doesn't matter at this point. If a lot of people are doing small things, I think that'll add up to a bigger impact, right? So yeah, you said it right.
Speaking of your work, you, like I said it before, you present it in such a creative way that the user or the viewer feels drawn to it. Like they feel the sudden urge to tap on it, see what is she telling, how is this so attractive. But when it comes to sustainability, we all have been fed with some practices. For example, like in my school, in the competitions or on specifically Earth Days, we are in a way like forced to make posters over the topic, and we all go running to the only angel in disguise, Google. We like search in sustainability slogans and the practices we should follow, precautions and all, and we scroll to the bottom of the page, choose one we find. Some don't even do that. The first one is best only. We just copy that down with those shiny sticky letters and done. We are done. No one actually implements that in our life. We are doing that because we want marks. So, like, since you are a pro and I have you in front of me, I'd like to hear from you like some practices other than the basic vanilla ones that we all have been fed but we don't do for people to follow.
Um, so when it comes to, like, low waste lifestyle or sustainable living, there's nothing basic or grand. It's just that you have to keep doing the same thing without giving up at any point, right? So keeping this principle in mind, I think the basic, like how you can even start off, is what we can incorporate in our daily lifestyles is um, to carry your own stuff, right? So be it a bottle, a bag, a tumbler, a spoon, cutlery, etc. Like how we don't forget carrying our mobile as soon as we step out. This has to become our routine, that in our bag we should always carry this kerchief, the minimum stuff, which will help us avoid any single use disposables, right? Now when I say single use disposables, it's just not plastic, like even paper cup, any material that you're just using for once and then you're disposing it, it's still harmful, and it's adding to the humongous waste generation that is happening on a daily basis, right? So if you have to say no to such disposables, you have to be equipped, right? So when you step out, carry these things with you, and then you can happily say no to any disposables that are coming your way, right? And any the next thing, like when it comes to waste management, the like heart of any waste management solution is a segregation at source. It's not like once you mix up everything, somebody else is going to segregate, right? That will only reduce the efficiency and effectiveness of the whole solution. Okay, so trying to segregate at source, like at your home, at your workplace, at your school, that is the key, right? And oftentimes, like even in any campaign, like even central level campaigns, it's published or it's campaigned in a manner that segregation is just two way, like wet and dry, blue, green. But the correct way of doing it is three-way segregation, right? So one is your wet waste, which is your food waste, your kitchen waste, all of that, anything that can go back to earth, right? That is your wet waste. And the next is your dry waste, so which includes your paper, plastic, your electronic waste.
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yeah, your video like suddenly freezed.
So till I was going on and on. Where was I?
I heard you till wet waste.
Okay. So the disposable part was clear. So I can
Yeah,
start from the the segregation part.
yeah, that would be perfect.
Okay. Yeah, so the second thing is so the heart of any waste management solution is segregation at source, right? So
Okay.
like you can't expect somebody else to segregate it for you once you mixed it. It's humanly impossible to achieve the segregation level that you would have achieved if you had done it at source, like at your home or in your offices or your schools, etc. Any community space for that
Segregating
matter.
like makes it much easier to decompose and all, right?
Yeah, so at source itself, if you try to put it in different baskets, it's difficult for the next part of processing, etc. Right? Once you mix it, a lot of times what happens, you can't even segregate it. So it'll all just get dumped in big dump yards, landfills, or gets burnt. Right? So minimum, the first step that we can do is to avoid that is to segregate at source. Right? Now, this segregation is also often just campaigned as a two-way segregation process, which is just wet and dry, but often it has another category which is missed out. That is your reject waste. Say your wet waste is your food, like any kitchen waste that you get, say your vegetable peels, fruit peels, your eggshells, all of that, right? So anything that can go back to earth, like your leaves, your garden waste, and all of it, right?
Okay.
And your dry waste, so your paper, plastic, your electronic waste, your glass, all of it which has scope for recycling comes under your dry waste. Now what comes under reject waste? Anything that gets into contact with bodily fluids, say for example you used a tissue to wipe your mucus, etc. So that is prone to infections, right? So now that you can't put it in either wet waste or dry waste, that has to be reject waste. Or your sanitary napkins, or like baby diapers, all of these things, or your band-aids, right? So anything that comes into contact with your bodily fluids uh, comes under your reject waste. So this is the minimum that we can do at each household, right, to do a three-way segregation. Now imagine if your baby diapers get mixed in your wet waste or dry waste. It is just inhuman to expect somebody else to engage with that waste, right, with their own hands. Like, we wouldn't do it ourselves, but if somebody's work or livelihood is dependent on it, they have to do it, but it's inhuman, right?
It's better to like segregate it earlier than.
Yeah, right. And the next thing, like, now once after you segregate, you have this kitchen waste with you. The best thing that you can do with that is compost. Like, you turn it into manure. It's an addictive process. I am already addicted to it. I hope like more and more people get addicted to it. That way, say if you roughly take percentages, for example, you're generating, say your house is generating around 2 kgs of waste on a daily basis. Around 50% or more, like in some cases up to 70%, say like 1 kg to 1.2 kgs will be just your wet waste, which you can compost it in your homes. Right now, that leave only half a kg that you have to send out, or municipality has to take care. Right, that will reduce the burden by almost 50% if every house is composting their wet waste, right? And it's a very simple, easy process, and it's okay. Like, I can go on about composting, right? And the next thing that you can make your own natural cleaners also with that wet waste, etc. And one thing that helped me is to store my dry waste. Like, over a period of time, you store what all dry waste is ending up in your homes. After a while, you sit with your family and analyze, like, we could have avoided this bottle had we carried our own bottles. So you sit and discuss and see from next time what you can reduce, right? So storing, and when you store your waste, you also make sure that say for example you ordered some pizza, etc., and if there's a leftover food particles on that dabba, and if you're storing, you make sure that you clean it and store it. If you just store it like that, it will be prone to insects, and there'll be also issues of smell, right? Now but if you're just giving away and expecting somebody else to do it, you wouldn't do any of this, right? You would just throw it. So that kind of empathy also grows once you start storing your waste, right? So these are the few things that you can do, and it doesn't require any resources for you to do. All it takes is you just have to take out some time, right?
It's a pretty simple process, but it has very many aspects to it, which must be all kept in mind while trying to follow the practices? You said something about composting, and I saw my mother doing something, and I was kind of confused at first that why is she putting peels in the manure and all. So she told me that we can compost the our waste, and we can lessen the burden on the earth by recycling it or composting it at our homes itself. So can you tell a little bit more about that? How can we compost at our homes, or any different kind of composting and all?
Yeah, so there are different kinds of composting, but as a beginner, and something that is easier to do is aerobic composting. It is nothing fancy. The name just suggests that you allow air to circulate, that's all. Okay,
Ah,
so if you allow oxygen flow inside, it's aerobic composting. Like, you don't have to buy composters. Also, you can do a DIY composter in yourself. All you need is a couple of buckets, like old paint buckets or any buckets, right? Second hand buckets you can get, or if you have them at home already, great. Then you'll just have to pierce some holes through the bucket, because we wanted airflow, right? So how does air circulation happen? You have to pierce some holes, right? And then another ingredient is your kitchen waste, which you will have
yeah.
generated every day. You don't have to look out for kitchen waste. And the third one that you will need is some dry material, which is called browns. Say, like you said, your mom is adding dry leaves, right? Now your kitchen waste is wet in nature, right? If you just leave it as it is, you will see water dripping out, right, as it
Oh.
breaks down. Now, to make sure that moisture is absorbed, you add some dry material, which is dry leaves. Okay. Now you add these in certain proportions for it to break down properly,
So
and
like every time we compost a new material, we'll have to add a dry component in it to balance it out.
correct.
Oh, okay.
So there is ratio, like say if you take 1 part of your kitchen waste, you should add at least 2 to 3 parts of your dry waste. Not dry waste, like the dry material, like your dry leaves or cocoa peat. Any nursery you'll get cocoa peat, right? So now you mix this in that proportion, and to speed up the process, you can add some microbes for the culture to grow within, for the breakdown to happen faster. And for this,
Vermicomposting or something.
yeah, vermicomposting is another type of composting where you introduce certain kind of worms to eat your food, and their
Wow.
castings is nothing but vermicomposting. That is a different kind of composting. The one that I'm talking about, you don't have to introduce worms. Here, for microbial culture, you can just add your sour buttermilk. That's all.
That's the only term I knew related to compost. So I asked, it contains worms or not?
Right. So that's it. This is all you require. So couple of buckets, your kitchen waste, some brown source, which is your dry leaves or cocoa peat, and some microbial culture, which is nothing but your sour buttermilk. That's all it takes to compost.
It's quite simple, isn't it? We
Yeah,
just need
you
to
just have to
follow
start,
steps.
and then you will encounter some problems. I am not saying from the first day you will get it right, but unless you begin, you wouldn't know what the issues or challenges will be, right? It's all about just balancing these inputs, and once you start doing it, you will get used to it.
Yeah, so like these are only 2-3 steps, and we are and those 2-3 steps further lead into such a good cause, but no one does those 2-3 steps.
No, like in at least in the last few years, the awareness is really increasing, right? So a lot of people are beginning to compost. It just has to like spread like wildfire, and everyone has to start doing it.
Just
Right?
imagine if everyone does that. Yeah. Like waste management. If we go from its literal meaning, it means managing the waste. Everyone knows that. Like everyone knows, okay, there is something like waste management existing. People do some things for that. This happens, but they proceed to not actually know why is it happening, how is it happening, and what is it. They just know it exists. They have no idea what is it. So can you, like even me, 1 year ago, I knew nothing about waste management. I just know कि होता है. Can you like tell for the uninitiated that why exactly are there people running around speaking waste management, management? Why is it actually important?
Yeah, this is another thing. Again, I can go on and on, but to just cut it to simple terms. Okay, let us just have a simple, like an estimation, exercise. Um, just like take a guess on like per capita generation, like every individual on a daily basis, how much do you think they're generating? Just your, household waste.
It might be a lot for sure. Like
Just
a
one
bucket
person,
full stuff.
one person in a day.
I guess half a bucket or something without being silly. I don't know the kgs and all.
Okay, so we can just, for estimation purpose, say half a kg per person.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, just half a kg. And now if you multiply it with the population in just our country, just say 1 billion, population of 1 billion, right? And into half kg is half billion kgs of waste daily. Okay,
Damn.
that is just in our country. Okay, now this half billion kgs, what do you think is happening to this every day? Like every day we are generating half a billion kgs as a country. What is happening to this?
Fetus me would have thought that it is being generated. There is a specific process to that. But now being kind of aware, some of the waste is just there. It isn't being done anything to it.
So correct. So as we discussed earlier, a lot of it, like around 70% of it, still gets dumped in landfills or dump yards.
70%.
Yeah, right. And some of it gets burnt because say most of our homes have daily collection, like municipality comes and collects our waste, right? But in some spaces that doesn't happen. So what do? They just pile up in some space, and once they run out of the space, they just burn it so that they'll have more space again to dump, right? So a lot of it gets dumped like that, and some of it is dumped into water bodies. Nowadays you see a lot of articles like how marine animals are getting affected, all of that, right? So if you look at it, out of this half a billion kgs, hardly 20% of it is getting processed. Rest of it is just being mismatched in one way or the other, mismanaged, right? So now imagine, like, if apparently one estimation tells us that if we continue doing this, like if we don't reduce our waste and if we don't manage it properly, by 2030, that is less than 10 years, we will need a landfill which is the size of Bangalore to just house India's waste, right? So
Oh my God.
that is the extent of the problem, right? And I think then if we continue to do this, we just have to live amidst waste. Like you look out of your window and all you see is just waste lying around, right? All your food package, your kurkure package, chips, your chocolate package, wrappers, and all of that, right? So that is the extent of the problem. And as we saw that you said there's a dump yard right next to your or in front of your house, right? Now in most spaces, the space that is allocated for dumping for these landfills have reached their maximum capacity long back, but because there is no space, we are still continuing to dump in that space. Right now there is no more space. Now the solution to that is not to create more space and start dumping, right? So just to stop dumping in the first place. Now to stop dumping, we'll have to start processing that waste, like we said, composting or recycling and all of that, right? So to just we are all part of this problem. It's our waste, it's not somebody else's waste that is piling up to this humongous waste, right? So it's imperative and it's really essential that we have to relook at how much we're generating and how we're managing it. So next time when somebody asks you why is this a problem, just give them this math and anybody would understand that it is really essential that we'll have to relook at how we are managing our waste.
Like you said, that segregating is a very important feature while managing waste. Like for example, we just said that the waste we just dump outside is just dumped again to a landfill. and it just stays there, nothing happens, no process. But if we segregate it into like dry waste and wet waste and the third type of waste,
Reject
reject
waste.
waste, I forgot its name.
No problem.
Yeah, so dry, wet and reject waste, if we segregate it from our homes, what happens to them? Like they'll go, like, the do they actually recycle them? Are they actually composted? What happens to them?
Good, great question. So few municipalities, like say in Bangalore or Pune or Indore, or few municipalities are doing a great job in first collecting segregated waste, and then say for your wet waste, there are these plants where you either turn that into manure like compost, or you can create biogas. From which you can either cook your stuff instead of your LPG. You can use that from biogas, or you can right. So some energy is recovered from it, from your wet waste. Now from your dry waste, say your plastic bottles, your shampoo bottles, all of this, right, you can recycle and make it into another form of plastic. Okay, and paper also, like you can
At
recycle.
home?
Not home, when I'm saying when government collects your
Acha. Okay.
waste, right? So that was your question, I thought. So once you segregate and once government is collecting, what happens to it, right? So with your dry waste, it can be recycled. Your paper also can be recycled. Your metal can be recycled. Now, when you recycle, what is the advantage? So to make paper, you'll have to cut down trees, and there's a whole lot of process. But if you're recycling, instead of cutting a new tree, you can use this material. Some portion of your new paper will have this material, so that will reduce the amount of trees that you have to cut, right? So that is the whole idea of recycling. You don't have to use new material, you can use some old material to make new material. Got it?
Yes.
Yeah. And your reject waste, like your sanitary waste, etc., it has to be burnt at higher temperatures. Now if you just burn it in your local neighborhood, there'll be a lot of toxic gases that will be released. So to avoid that, you will have to burn them at higher temperatures. So that can happen only in like a closed, like a setup where it is monitored and regulated, right? So now this is what broadly that happens with your three categories of waste. Now
So like, if
yeah,
it
go.
is in high temperature, toxic gases won't come out.
Yeah,
Like
so
it will
the
be.
emissions can be controlled if it is higher
Acha.
temperature. Yeah.
Okay. You were saying something earlier?
Yeah, I was saying, so now this is the case where your municipality collects your segregated waste. In lot of places, what happens, even in our town, like even if you segregate at home, once you give it to them, they mix it up and just take and dump in landfills, right? In that case, what you can do is like compost at your home. So you segregate it. You don't expect the municipality to do it, but you will do it at your home. And your dry waste you will collect over a period of time. And there are these kabadi walas, if you heard of, I don't like, people take this and give you some onion or something in return, right? So they are called kabadi walas. So they will help in getting that material recycled, like that. So in case if your municipality doesn't collect segregated waste, at least this much you can do at your own homes, right?
I was confused because like everybody says that this happens, this is happening, but nothing actually happens. Like I think that there are NGOs also which are working for this cause, and they are collecting, because in some areas the municipality is not that active, right?
Yeah, so there are a lot of good organizations, they're experts in different areas, right? So some people will just collect your electronic waste, like your wires, your old electronic devices, etc. So they'll collect and recycle that. Some might just collect your dry waste, like your plastic, paper. So there are good number of organizations which are trying to convert this waste into resource. Now once you dump it, the value of it is not recovered, right? But if you can process it, it's like a circular process. You don't have to throw it, it will come back to the system, right? So a lot of good organizations are part of this processing, waste processing.
it actually depends on us. We say like it depends on the process, but it is actually us who it is dependent upon. You know, there is a brand, I can't remember the name, but I think it is a shampoo and all the skincare brand. They send us products, and based on the purchase we have done, on the number of products we have bought, they like plant a tree per purchase in order to in order to balance the plastic they have used and the harm they have caused to the earth. They like plant a tree. So I really like that initiative, and I go to my mom and I'm like, there was a company who bought the face wash from. They are working for a good cause, so we can actually order from that, so we can at least help in some way.
Yeah, so it's great, like organizations are beginning to think about this stuff, but it solves the problem just to an extent. Like it's not like so okay, I will take up as much oil as required, and then just to offset it, I will plant more trees. Somewhere it doesn't work out in the long run and at a larger scale, right? So now the first step is for us to um, see if there are alternatives where no harm is being caused in making that product itself, right? So instead of using a shampoo from an organization which is using some oil to make that packaging, or some other harm is being caused during the process, as you said, instead of that, is there any other brand? Like locally people are making soaps at home, like shampoo bars. So trying to switch to those alternatives and trying to do some DIY stuff, right? So like there's one of my reels, and how you can
I saw that.
using just two ingredients you can make your own shampoo and conditioner, right? Like if you have time, do that. If you don't have time, go to alternatives, brands which are actually local brands, which are doing at home with using simple ingredients, no chemicals, right? So just trying to be on a lookout for such alternatives, right?
I think like my grandmother knows some remedies. Like she's always saying that we can do this, we can do that. So
Great. So
I'll run to
everything that
her.
is coming up in the name of sustainability nowadays is not brand new. It always existed long back. It's just like coming back again, right? So your grandmother, grandparents are the best, are the most wise people on earth right now. They've lived their lives sustainably. You just have to go back to them and ask them how they did it, right?
We say we are forward, but we are actually moving backwards in saving the earth.
Yeah, we're just being like foolish.
Exactly. Like yesterday, I had an idea. Actually, my mother had an idea. I sat down and at the end of the night, when I just write my diary, I took another diary and I just wrote down all the stuff I used yesterday. That included the packaging made of plastic or any one throwaways. So like this is all the list, and I realized that I use more than 25 products in a day that are contributing to the downfall of the earth in a day. And I was suddenly shocked that, hey Bhagwan, what am I doing? Like I'm still shocked. But
so that's a great way to begin, right? To at least first become aware of how much we are generating in a day, and is it really necessary? Does that have an alternative? And congratulations that you've done this step, right? Like a lot of people are not there yet too. Now from here on, you can just go back and see what I can avoid, what is there, if there's an alternative like that. So good, great going. So that's the first step, to just analyze first in the first place, right?
Right. So, like I did that, and these are only the short term stuff which I'll throw in 1 month, 1 week, or 1 day. Like, if we start counting the long term stuff, I'll be old by then, because we use so much stuff that is, I am saying it again and again, everything we do is contributing to the harm reached to the earth. So, can you give some, again, I'm asking waste segregation and management tips to like fit in our daily life? You gave us a tip. Uh, it may not be daily life, but anywhere we go, we can just remember that I can do this and it can help the earth in a way?
Yeah, I think it's the same that I've already mentioned. But just like the to do in any sort of this, right? So the first step for us is to reduce our consumption. It's not like today I'm using one, I'll find an alternative to this tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. We just have to see how much we can stop consuming in the first place, right? So start evaluating every consumption choice, like what are you buying in a day, like be it food, be it personal care products, your home care products, anything, right? Just don't buy because it's cheap, right? Nowadays we have this habit of going to a market, oh, it's just 10 rupees, it's just 15 rupees, because though we don't need it, we don't require it, we just buy it because it's cheap,
Yeah.
right? And we should always remember that the price, something is available to us at cheaper price because there is some compromise that has been done while making that product, either using products that are harmful to earth, or not paying certain wages to people who are making that product. So all this exists behind that cheap price tag. So we should start developing that thinking of how is it made. Okay, now after this life of this product is over, where is it going, right? So if you start developing that holistic thinking, you will be able to make better choices when you're consuming from today. And anything generally when it comes to food which is packaged, right, say your chips packet, etc., is not even good for your health. Like put the waste part of it aside, say now I've stopped consuming all of it long back because I didn't want to create that waste as that wrapper or packet. But later on you'll realize that it's not even good for your health, right? So this is a interconnected journey where you will realize the impact on your well-being, like physical and mental well-being, right? So this is just one way of making choices in our daily lives, right? Just to be conscious of every consumption choice that you make. Okay.
Like we are speaking about food, so in the packaging stuff, I wrote like 5 6 stuff from the kitchen, like we are eating food and we are making that. For example, if we need peanuts, they come in a packet. If we need chili powder, they come in a packet. Everything in the kitchen also comes in a packet. So like how can we reduce that? Like for example, my mother told me that for the flour, she doesn't bring the packaged one. She like brings it from the local shop, so they give it in boris and all. So like how can we reduce every stuff, because like even if they are small packets, they are still packets.
So in the current system that we are living in, especially urban spaces, I wouldn't say it's 100% possible to cut down all of it, right? But slowly, first, now you made the list. For example, now you realize that, okay, your chili powder, there's a packaging that is coming along with it. So now you go on a hunt nearby. If there are any local vendors where if you give dry chilies, will they powder it for you? So you'll have to find out these alternatives slowly, one by one. You can't just avoid all of them in a day.
Yeah.
Right. So that is one. And another thing is, when you say there's no alternative, say for example, then you start consuming it in bulk if possible. Instead of having some 10 small packets, you'll have one big packet now, right? So like say for example, even your shampoo sachets, right? Instead of buying those 1 rupee sachets on a regular basis, you buy one shampoo bottle. That is much better than generating those the sachet waste on a daily basis, right? So these are the things that you can do, but for that you will have to first, as you made that list, you have to make the list and see what is available in your space. And if it is not possible, then if I can increase the size of that packaging in one way or the other. Okay.
Is like a bigger piece of plastic recycled better than a smaller ones?
Yeah, so it's always that because say smaller packets have the tendency to just fly off, or and even while the collection and transportation, during that process also, it's easier to handle larger chunks and solid chunks than packets, right? So bottle is much more easier than like a cover. Okay. And even when it comes to recyclability also, bottles have higher recycling rate than your just plastic covers. So just switching to those options which are more recyclable. Not every, like all kinds of plastic is not recyclable, like your carry bag is not recyclable, but your shampoo bottle is recyclable, right? So just switching to those options also helps in the long run.
I think I read a post which said like the milk packets that we bring, uh, we just pour and we just cut a little triangle from the side and we just throw it away, and it doesn't recycle or something because it is very small.
If that small piece, if you just put it back in the packet and if that goes for recycling, there is chance for it to get recycled. But if you separate it and throw it in, like as two different parts, often those small things, just as I said, like if there's strong breeze, they just fly off, or they end up in your water drains. And those are that minute parts, right? That those are the ones ending up in your animals' bodies. Like say there are a lot of articles where you cut open an animal's stomach and there's a lot of plastic inside, right? So just to avoid that, and you must have seen in that article as to how to cut also, right? Now instead of
Yeah.
cutting that whole triangle out, you make a straight cut, so that
Yes.
that smaller particle is also attached to the bigger packet. Now it's
I
just one thing
opened
that you
the
throw instead two.
I opened the fridge to do a daily hunt, but I didn't find anything. But I did find the dahi packets cut straightly and opened like this. So she said that she opens it and pours it like that. I was really confused by then. So she showed me the post and all. I was like, like you are an activist and people like you working in this field are open to many resources plus money, but teenagers like me or people like me, how can we uh, be a part of this cause by contributing to this cause, but we don't have the money or the resource to do that. Like our parents can support us obviously, but we can't do it in a bigger scale which can give a large impact on stuff like the activists and people. So what can we do, because I want to play a part in that.
So the best part about like living a low waste lifestyle, or trying to live more sustainably, is that you don't need many resources. It's just that I know it's contrary to popular opinion that you need a lot of resources for such a lifestyle. But as a practitioner or someone who is evolving at it on a daily basis, I am telling you, don't need many resources for it. In fact, you will need a lot lesser resources, right? um, for example, like earlier, say just if, because we talked about shampoo, all of that, so in earlier I had to buy a shampoo bottle. Now all I need is some soap nuts, and I have my hibiscus tree at home, and I need those leaves for my conditioner. Now I don't have to buy and now if you even compare the price of just soap nuts versus that shampoo, and how much I will spend for shampoo in a year versus how much I'll just spend on soap nuts, it's a lot lower, right? Now for that every choice, if you do that math, you'll realize that you'll have to spend a lot lesser money, right? um, uh, Now all the things put together, now in and if you stop buying food, like this junk food, there's a lot of money that is saved, because in this sustainable lifestyle often you will eat right, so all this junk will be cut out, right? So like that every choice you'll realize that you're saving a lot more money, right? And there might be few things where you'll have to initially put in little money, but over time, if you realize that, you'll realize that it is much lesser than the usual choices that you're making. So all that you need now is that you should be able to take out time for these practices. that's the only resource that you need. Right, you don't need any other physical resources to do this. Like even when I said composting, you don't have to buy stuff from outside. These dry leaves, in a year there is a phase of like 4 or 5 months where the dry leaves keep shedding. You just collect them and store for a year. You have your brown source, your dry source, and your wet waste anyways you will get on a daily basis. All and old buckets, the second hand buckets, at a very cheaper rate you will get. So most of these practices, they don't require a lot of money. All they need is your patience, your motivation, and time, right, to start these practices. Nowadays we are used to a lot of we are addicted to this word, this idea of convenience. At the sake of convenience, we are okay harming a lot of other things. We don't realize at what cost are we feeling this convenience, right? So if you have to break from that pattern, you will have to spend more time and efforts to get used to this lifestyle, right? That is all. I would just say taking out that time is all that you need, right?
So
And
the
as teenagers,
easiest,
I would, yeah, sorry, go on.
no, you go on. I was just sharing my thoughts on what you said.
Yeah, I'll tell the next point later.
I was saying that the easiest way to support this cause is actually not making it a cause. Like we should try to try from our side to not even give people to work something upon. Like if we just lessen our part, or we put some practices into play from our side, we are actually supporting the cause without knowing that, right?
That's always the case, yes.
You were saying something, you can continue your point now.
I was saying, you asked me as teenagers what else can we do, right?
Yeah.
Like another best thing that I can think is to volunteer, right? So there are these cleanup drives. There are these beach cleanups, etc. So such kind of things. Volunteer, and again, there all that you have to give is your time. There's no other resource that is required. So on weekends, etc., if you give your time. Now, I wouldn't say this cleanup is like the best solution, but through the process, you'll realize how much waste we are generating and how recklessly we are, just littering around, and what is the impact. Now, these experiences will help you, increase your motivation, right? And build that conviction as to why you have to switch to a lower waste lifestyle. So engage yourself in these activities where you have the opportunity to get closer to reality. Now, once you throw your waste in the dustbin, you never know where it's going, right? But if you go visit a landfill, that is what happened to me. Unless I was just throwing my waste and somebody else was taking care of it, I was not even aware of how it is impacting other beings or other people or the environment, right? Once I made that visit is where I was just shocked, and that was the reality. So give yourself that chance and experiences and opportunities to get closer to the reality. Make your hands dirty, like your feet, everything. Just involve in those activities, and that will take you somewhere. The path will come out on its own, right? It will emerge.
For example, like I have seen some drives, people doing some drives, or the drives happen like the cleanup drives on beaches or something. I saw a drive which happened in Mumbai. So they were like gathering all the stuff that was thrown in the beaches. So I was just looking at the video, and I was thinking that they are collecting all of the stuff. That's a great thing, but after collecting, where are they dumping that? If they dump it again in the dumpster, then what's the use?
Yeah, it depends. So a lot of people are careful because now one, if that they're conscious about cleaning that area, means they're already they have good idea, and they wouldn't go and litter some other space, right? They'll have that conscience for sure. So you will either they'll segregate it further into glass, paper, plastic, and give it to your recyclers, and they will take care of the processing, right? So that is what usually happens after you collect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, one last question that has been pinging me since I got introduced to you. You have an initiative called the Earth Sitters, right? So I at first I didn't understand what did it mean. Then I put my head into it and I came to a conclusion. Does it mean like babysitting the earth?
Correct. That's how it came about. It's just like caretakers of, earth through our lifestyle changes. Like in the long run, if something happens, earth can take care of itself, right? But we are dependent on earth. So just it just came in from that, like babysitting to earth sitting, and that's where I thought it'll be a group of people, so earth sitters, and this came from actually waste sitters. So there was a project on which a team of us worked. We called ourselves waste sitters, so taking care of waste in that space. From there, it got extrapolated to earth, and that's and you guessed it right, absolutely right. It's earth sitters.
At first I didn't get it, and then I sat like 2 hours over this. Seriously, I'm not even kidding. I was trying to think of the ways by what was the thinking behind the name and all. And then I was like, it may mean like babysitting the earth. And then I thought that's such a cute thinking behind that, because like earth is taking care of us all. It is giving us shelter, it is giving us food, it is giving us everything we have. Like I'm in a call with you now, earth is pampering that. So pampering the earth or caring for the earth in return can be such a good cause.
Great. My work is done. You understood it all. Great.
Thank you so much for the insights. I think the stuff that you gave, those are some like pretty practical approaches for people to apply, which they can like actually do, not
That's the
just to
whole
post.
point, right? They're very easy to do. It's just that
Exactly.
that starting point has to be somewhere, some motivation, some experience, right? And then you begin, and it'll just slowly spread to all aspects of your life. Today, you may start with, say, clothing. Say, instead of buying so much in a year, I'll cut down to only these many clothes. And tomorrow, it'll just spread to the food that you will have. I'm going to cut down on my junk. So it'll just spread to every aspect of your life, and it'll be simplified. We are making our lives more complex and complicated, but you will see that over a period of time, you'll just simplify your life. You'll be more happy doing small things, these grounding practices of composting, etc. Right?
Like we are moving forward, but we are moving backwards. That's and like I was thinking and I realized that we all have never sat down and given a thought about how we can actually contribute, but we never even thought by doing these little things we are actually contributing. We all were never really like conscious about the things that we do. Whatever we do, we would like, okay, it's happening, my needs are being fulfilled, I'm happy. So we were never really conscious about that, and that's the actual problem. Like if I'm giving my example again, like if I am hungry, I'm going somewhere in the car, I tell my parents I'm hungry, they stop by, we buy a packet of chips, I eat it and I throw it away. After I throw it away, it is just dumped in a dumpster. Little do I know that the 2 seconds I invested in throwing away, if I have kept it myself or given it to recycling or something, it may have done such a better work. Like the 2 seconds in which I threw the packet away, it is contributing to such a larger impact which is being put on the earth. So I had no idea how that little piece of packet is playing such a big part. So that's the thing, nobody knows what it is doing, and this little chit chat with you has surely showed us a whole new perspective to look at the world. Like whatever we do, like after this meeting or after this interview, if I'll eat something, I'll feel a little guilty that what am I doing. It has given me a whole new like perspective. I'm saying it again, like I look at things in a different way, and I never thought of it before.
Great, yeah. So this journey. So once you start looking at these things differently, right? And you can't stop it. And once it becomes a practice, it'll just become part of your lifestyle, right? But through the process, sometimes it can get really overwhelming. You can get this eco anxiety nowadays, like people term it, right? Oh my God, like, oh, what is happening? Why are people doing this? So you might be doing whatever is right in terms of, say, managing waste or reducing waste, but you might start observing that others are not doing it, and that can start affecting you, right? That is what happened to me like a few years back. So that time, just take it easy on yourself. Keep doing whatever you can, and others will join. So for somebody, they might not have done this interview, right? So for them, the journey will start a little later. Just be patient, do whatever you can, share why you're doing what you're doing. If they're up for it, they'll join. Otherwise, sometime later they'll join. But just you have to take care of yourself in the process, right? Don't just get too overwhelmed, right? You will have to sustain what you started. Okay.
I'm saying it again, you are so mind blowing. Like everything you say has such a deeper meaning. I didn't realize it earlier, but whatever you're saying, that is just case again.
Thank you.
So the real problem here is us not being conscious, not the process. It obviously has a little part in contributing to the harm to the earth, but the real problem is us not being conscious. If we are actually aware of what we are doing and how is it affecting our environment and the nature, many people will for sure join the cause. They'll kind of feel guilty, like I am right now, and they'll join the cause, and slowly and steadily we'll have a huge number of people, maybe all of the world, I don't know in how many years. But after this chat, I think that many people are a little bit aware over the topic, and it has, I hope, changed their life like yours did when you saw that landfill. It was such a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you, Arohi. Thank you. I had a great time chatting about all of these things, right? It's been quite some time that I spoke about all of these things with one person. So thank you for this opportunity, and um, all the best for your, low waste lifestyle. And through the journey, if there is anything that you want to ask, or if there's any doubt, etc., you can always reach out to me. um, right? And if your friends or somebody else are also looking for, some sessions, etc., you can always again contact me. And yeah, thank you once again.
I should thank you for taking out your time and educating us on all of this. It was
It
really
is
an
just
honor.
sharing what I've been through the last few years, right? Like few years back, even I was not aware. I wasn't doing anything. It's just like, so once you start doing, after a period of time, you can't shut up about it, right? You want everybody else also to do what you're
Yes.
doing, right? So that is what I think I'm doing right now. And all of us, all of you who will start this journey will reach that point somewhere. Then all of us will be together talking about this stuff to larger group of people. Okay.
We'll all be excited, we'll all be boasting, and soon many people will be aware.
Yeah, let's
Hope
hope.
is all we need. And that's all from both of us. And for today's session, I really am confident that this session today has changed all the audience's perspective to look at things. And I hope you feel a little bit guilty of harming the earth. Stay tuned ahead, because there is a lot more exciting stuff lined up for you at the DhiMahi Nature Festival, which is a space for dialogues around nature, ecology, and sustainability. It's a really amazing initiative. Please go check out. Thank you for joining.
Wow, I learned so much out of that one segment and feel all the more so responsible about how I manage my waste.
I totally agree. And this brings us to the end of the pre lunch session of day 1 at the DhiMahi Nature Festival. There is a whole lot more lined up for you post lunch.
Yeah, Tune in at 3 p.m. right here on this YouTube channel for the post-lunch session where we learn about permaculture and also listen to some great Urdu shairi on nature from Naomi, a prolific guest speaker from Pakistan.